Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to a special survival show today. We're actually going to take a look at Frozen Flame. Now I had recorded this as Let's Play, but I went and lost my audio footage, so I'm going to have to just talk over it. But Frozen Flame is a demo that you can play right now as part of the Steam Festival, and it's been the first time I think everyone's been had a chance to get it to try. It's been in alpha for a long time. They had their own launch on their own website, but they moved on to Steam to do betas last year, and since then have been building towards it. So what is Frozen Flame? Well, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. Don't forget to like, make sure you subscribe if you want to know more about every type of survival game. If it's there, I will be reporting on it, telling you guys what to expect, and hopefully I'll be telling you soon when this is actually releasing. So Frozen Flame is a MMO style game with lots of crafting. You can have up to maybe 50 players per server, but you can play it offline, where you can in the demo version of it anyway. It's made by a small team of around 20 developers, and it's been actually worked on for a while. Like I said, it had loads and loads of alphas, and it's been worked on off Steam. Since it's been on Steam, we've had much more regular updates. There's been lots of buzz generated, and it's a kind of little cool survival MMO style sort of crafting game. So where does it fit in with other games at the moment? Well, it's got the art style to me of Dauntless. I think that's pretty obvious. I like the art style. I quite like Dauntless as a game, and I quite enjoyed the art style of that game. But the mechanics of this game are much more in line with games like Conan Exiles, maybe even a bit Dark Souls. Your main currency that you're going to be using to upgrade your character, I'm just showing you some of the trees that you can upgrade here, get either more health, become more stronger, either become more like a rogue, so there's kind of little classes that you can go down. It's a case of using some of the flames that you can collect. I'm guessing they're frozen, and these are used for XP, they're used for crafting. Pretty much everything you do in Frozen Flame, you have to use the Frozen Flames to buy it or use it. Now there are some other items that you need to collect to boost your actual stats. You can see you've got vitality, strength, all the usual kind of stuff, and you can boost these up when you collect them at these special sort of altars, and you'll find these dotted all in and around the map. The map itself at the moment, obviously as it's in closed beta still, is very quite big already, I would say. It's got some defined biomes. You can see you've got some sort of dark, horrible, boggy area by looks of stuff, or more mountainous. Then you've got green and lush, and then you've got a few mountain ranges around the sides. So definitely you can see where they're going to expand on and what's kind of finished at the moment and what isn't, but I'm sure it'll go through lots of changes. There are NPC quest givers and merchants that you'll meet that will either sell you stuff like the quest giver here or the actual blacksmith that we've got in the building just across the way. So it is your typical go and gather and harvest resources, whether or not that's going to be ores, stone or wood, to go and start building your bases. You have got a little freeform base building. It's pretty basic at the moment. It's probably the most basic set I think I've seen, but it will give you the chance to start putting crafting benches down, cooking your food, and pretty much going forward in the game. Now the game is PvP PvE, but I do believe you can turn it off, or it doesn't look like it's a major focus. You will be able to go against other players though, and I'm guessing there will be servers that will have proper PvP going. Otherwise the main bulk of the game is going to be taking on lots of enemies like these. Now these are some dark shadowy like creatures. This was pretty tough early on for me in game. I should have maybe gone and leveled up a little bit more and got some of my better weapons and armors made. But at the moment it's pretty simplistic. Attack, dodge, and then you can sort of start using other weapons and tools once you equip them or get them, like the bow and maybe magic staffs, so you will be able to do magic as well. Other stuff they're going to be adding to the game as well is mounts, so you can get a variety of different mounts in the game in the future, and there is just going to be lots and lots of crafting, cooking potions, getting ready, fortified, that kind of stuff. The base build, as I said, it is pretty basic. It definitely needs a little bit more to make like fantastic homes. I think the idea is more that you can just make yourself a serviceable house. I'll show that off in a minute as well, but yeah, I really wasn't maybe prepared to take on all these guys. They were okay, but the big main dude was pretty much owning me. Now I could have sworn last year I saw this was going to be a free-to-play game, but since then, since they've gone onto Steam, it does look like they've got pre-orders going on, and I think during early access you'll be able to buy like the Founders Pack and stuff like that, and then maybe when it's fully released it will be a free-to-play game. If I've got that wrong, do correct me, but that's where I understand it at the moment, especially as they mention in their Q&A in their Discord that going forwards there'll be no subscription model. Anything that comes will be in the form of cosmetics and DLC. So yeah, it gives me hope. They've been working on this solidly, small team from Russia, and I think they've got good potential. I could see this doing really well on an Xbox or a PlayStation. I think we don't have enough free-to-play experiences like that. They're usually just battle royales and shooters. For a little while at least, the Dauntless game was huge when it actually launched on console. It really kicked new life into it. Millions of people downloaded it. So I would expect something along them lines if it does come to console in the future. On PC as a free-to-play, I think it will still maybe struggle a little bit just because there are so many other games, either MMOs or survival games that people are putting their time into. And with its slight leanings towards a more younger or art style that isn't as realistic, I think it would suit a younger audience a little bit too. So yeah, I finally got killed by that dude. We're collecting these. You go around to these, they give you a big chunk of the sort of harder tiers. I mean, it isn't explained very well. It is a demo at the moment. Like I said, it's very early days. They do have some guidance and tutorials, but yeah, it was pretty basic. At the moment, you've got 4 slots. You can put any kind of combination in there. It's not going to just restrict you just to 1 or 2 weapons. You can have all 4 kitted out weapons. You will need pickaxes and dedicated axes to get more resources out of items though. I think you can hack away with your sword at some things, but yeah, it's better if you actually craft an axe or craft a pickaxe and stuff. So this is how your base goes. You put this down and it basically gives you a cone of effect, which I'll show in a minute. But just going through, cycling through the very bases of it stuff at the moment. Obviously, when you start crafting some more stuff, I'm guessing it's going to be a bit more advanced and you'll have more access to more decorative pieces, but I didn't get that far. But the usual thing, gathering sort of fibre and plants and mushrooms to either eat directly or use them to make potions. That's going to be a big focus going forward, having lots of ingredients to make all sorts of different types of potions. There is lots of status effects, negative ones for you as well. As I said, it is a survival game. You do need to eat to keep that green bar up. That green bar, when it goes down, you basically, I don't think, have as much stamina and it can cause some issues. If you're too cold, because you're in quite a cold, chilly game, that's why it's called Frozen Flame, you will have to make sure you're warm. You've got some torches or it starts affecting you negatively. So you can see I've got a variety of items I can craft if I've got enough of the Frozen Flame sort of XP, etc. And here's just the inventory showing you what it looks like with all the items. Simple pickaxe, I can make a staff or a magic staff, and then just base pieces. Little animations you get when you directly go close to one of these, and then simply just carry on crafting and getting the items from it. A small little feature I really liked was the fact that the rivers actually run. You jump into the river and the current will take you somewhere. I cannot think of too many games that actually do this. So it looks like it doesn't hurt you if you're in the water, but the current does take you. So you could use it as a fast mode of transport to get in and around certain places. And I quite like that. I thought that was a nice little feature. Now, I've been following this game a while. I've mentioned it a bunch of times in my survival show over that time, and just seeing some of the creatures here is pretty basic. You've got like these big huge boars, a few skeleton men that come out at night time, and them sort of shadowy creatures. But there is a big selection of enemies and mobs to take on, and it looks like you're going to get certain resources, although it looks like it's mostly just boar meat from the actual boars. A big sign that this is going to be maybe a free game with microtransactions is the amount of potions that you can do. And these do all sorts of things like change your character. So you can make your own character, I do believe, and then you can customize it further with potions. And you can see here the potions don't require much, just actual resources. But I could see that they'll start offering lots and lots of cosmetic MTX and stuff in it. And I don't mind that, to be honest. As long as it's only cosmetic, that's okay with me, as long as it's no effects on other games. So I did breeze over it a little bit earlier, but let's go over some of them classes. You've got the warrior class, so typical sort of melee tank character. You've then got the rogue class, so that's obviously going to be a bit more stealthy, a little more critical hit points and stuff. Then the more typical mage character, and then an artisan character, which I quite liked. The idea that you would be like a crafter. And then explorer ancestry. So they call them ancestries, and it'll just give you certain points in certain things, or give you a little bit more bonuses and buffs. But yeah, I like the idea that if it is a proper MMO, you could become the big crafter. I know it's the big dream of lots of MMOs, but I still like it, even though it might only be 50 player max. It'd be cool if there's one person on a server that knows how to craft everything, and you might be able to sell and buy stuff from them. Or there's one person that's the big explorer, goes and gets all the good stuff. In terms of unlocking stuff, you get new levels, and then you've got more access to more crafting options when you go through these ages. And to advance that, I do believe again you've got to just use up the Frozen Flame XP or currency that you have. You can see a lot of the next levels are locked until we get enough of the Frozen Flame currency, and the next one's going to be 12 of them stones before I can advance to the next level. I honestly can't remember what the stones were called. They're not exactly the Frozen Flame currency, because obviously I've got 289 of them, so obviously I'll be able to unlock them. There's something a bit different, maybe tears. But you get the idea. You collect a lot of them from the statues that are lying around, or the plimps, and then you can go ahead and upgrade to the various different ones. So yeah, I quite liked it. It was like a nice chill game. Obviously with loads of other players running around, there'll be a bit more interaction and stuff, but in these starter areas there weren't too many enemies floating about. Just going around collecting these tiers or these special flames ones from these statues, and then maybe avoiding, you can see the big sort of floating red bits of stone in the sky. That pretty much says there's some bigger hard enemies in that zone. And again, I think you do well making a range class, whether or not you get the magic or bow and arrow, etc. But yeah, I thought it was quite nice just running around. I thought the environment's really cool. It was lush, it was pretty. The kind of game that I could easily spend a good few hours in. So diving into the base building, I've just put down my claim, and that's going to give me a big area where I can now build whatever I want. Build multiple different little houses or buildings, etc. But I will need to make sure it's protected, and you do that by filling it up with your, of course, frozen flames, your currency. So yeah, you can build big stuff, but it might mean that it's a bit more expensive for the upkeep. And I'm guessing this is what stops other players from raiding your bases. So I don't think you'll ever be raiding people's bases in this game, as long as obviously people are keeping it up. You can maybe go and clear out an empty base if someone's not been online, but that will probably be about it. I did find the cooking and the crafting slightly confusing. It looked like there was just 2 slots, so just put 2 items in here, and then you've got another sort of sub menu where you then can use it to just have flames on, and you put wood in it, and then while it's cooking you can make this stuff. But it's all just, you've got to manually press everything, you've got to manually craft everything to get going. I'm sure that'll evolve and change after a bit of feedback, but I think it could probably do with either just being automatic or just having it on just one little menu instead of 2 different menus, or having a fire pretty much do 2 different things. So it looks like that I actually upgraded, or was able to unlock the next lot just by crafting loads of items within my first tree, pretty much getting most of it, and that allowed me to start making more of the stuff below. You can see I've got much more better upgrades for armors and weapons now that I could go ahead and spend and get more items. And here I am just showing you the upkeep. What you have to do to basically keep your place safe is put some of these in, and that's how you keep it running. I did run into this special variant of boar that I think it only really appears at night. It's got the green tints. I thought it was just a tree or some weird thing that just popped up, and of course the sort of green-eyed boar was underneath it, which was a lot more challenging to fight. Now the game says it's got full control support and it's got all the UI for it, and I tried and actually messed around for about 20 minutes, but there was just something off every time I was using the controller, which was a PS4 one plugged in. There was just something conflicting and the camera was moving around. So again, won't be too harsh. It's obviously not even in early access yet. I hate when people really say stuff like blatantly it's going to get fixed during early access or when it launches. Some things you can forgive. Maybe not the level of like Cyberpunk, but certainly some things you can forgive when they're just still technically in a closed beta. And so yeah, I ended up using the mouse and keyboard, and I just found the combat just a little bit too stiff, or just dodging around enemies was just a bit hard. It just wasn't the same sort of feel, but defending and hitting the creature was pretty simplistic. As long as you're close up, like the hitboxes when you have a melee weapon or the basic one were pretty bad. You have to get really close up to a creature to actually do any damage to it. You do have a special attack with the weapon, and I think it pretty much just does more damage when you hold it, but yeah, I wasn't too adept at the combat. So lots of little ruins to go and explore, old buildings and stuff, and getting pots and resources from them. I know there's going to be a lot more dungeons added and places and bosses, and I think they've got like dynamic events. You can see the cataclysm at the top there, where it mentions on the top right that we've got 345 days to the next one that happens. I'm guessing that's going to be a big event where we can maybe take on an enemy altogether. Nighttime lasted an absolute age in this game, like literally ages. I put this bench down and it pretty much gave me a chance to make uncommon versions. So it doesn't necessarily give you access to brand new recipes. What it will do is allow you to make better versions. So you can make a better axe, a better bow, a better sword, etc. And judging by the colour, I'm guessing it's going to go up so that you'll get red or blue as uncommon, and then you'll find something like gold, which will be legendary. So all in all, pretty pleased with the game actually. Kaya on Fire helped me out on the channel last year and she took a look at this, and I had really kind of avoided it. I wanted to wait until we got some more concrete dates about an early access release, and it does look like they're going to be happening soon. Maybe Q1, so maybe in a month's time. If they're doing a demo now, I'm sure they're going to get a bunch more feedback. So yeah, fingers crossed it will be here by maybe the end of March. If not, I'll keep you guys up to date, and of course if I get any news about Xbox or PlayStation, I'll let you know as always. But I still wouldn't expect that until at least some some point, like the end of next year, maybe middle of next year if you're really lucky. It does look like a really small team. They haven't got a big investment firm behind them, so the idea of getting a console port straight away, yeah, that's going to be a while. As long as they can keep the classes special, start delving into it. So if you are a mage character, you've got a complete different set of moves and different items you can use. I like the idea of that, owning your classes rather than just being proficient at all of them. I hope that they lean into that a little bit more, and just maybe add a little bit more to the combat techniques and the items that you're using. I'm guessing it'll be different with each weapon, but yeah, the animations and stuff like that, just add a little bit more variety, a little bit more, I guess, pro moves to it, so that there's a degree of learning and mastering something. Or whether or not they might even add a combo system where you've got to literally tap in A, B, A, Y, etc. to get like an ultra combo move, something like that. I think just to add another layer. I mean, maybe not too much like Dauntless. I know Dauntless has some stuff like that, but yeah, just to give it a little bit of a flex, something different to aim for. Obviously the world looks gorgeous, as I said. Keep people that just like crafting and gathering stuff, and I didn't get a chance to see some of the later build pieces, so I'm presuming it'll be much more flourishing and there'll have a lot more decorative items in there for you to really make something nice and special with. And the idea of having PvP on enabled if you want it, or you can maybe be attacked out in the open, I think that's okay, and then just not having your base destroyed as long as you keep the upkeep up. I think that's a good idea as well, as long as, again, it struggles sometimes with these games to keep things to do, and that's what PvP does. So maybe it would be a good idea to have some servers that is strictly PvP and you can set up bases and turrets, but then it would be a bit too much like Citadel, Forge of Fire or some of them other games. And as I said, yeah, it is a survival game, so you've got to keep that green bar up. You do that by eating and crafting certain things, and making sure you don't get too cold. You can see I've got some status effects there like frostbite, and again I thought that was a nice touch, like adding some stuff like that gives it a little bit more depth. I hope you found this little first look at Frozen Flame from me useful. If you have, check the rest of my channel out, and if you want to see more of this, as soon as it hits early access, I'll show you guys more. Until next time, rat bags, I'll catch you lot later.